Managing the public purse is an important part of governance in Jamaica. Earlier this week, we heard the estimated sum that will be spent to run the affairs of the country this year. But how much do we know about the people, structure, and process of governance? Hi there, I'm Audrey Williams. Welcome to the show. Today we look at governance in Jamaica, also adopting a community approach to poor relief. Later, our children are connecting with the discipline of good money management, plus our top news of the week and more. Stay with us.
Jamaica, have to protect the life where we live, so you know, so we have to think smart. Joe! Well, this is Chino, and we need to talk to the youth them. Be careful, your friend them. People who really care about you and check for you, not gonna put you in a situation where you can end up going to prison or end up losing your life. So you need to stay focused, stay in school, work hard, and don't follow no friend. And remember, a gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
In order to effectively manage and implement solutions to best suit the challenges of society, nations need an accountable government in place. Here in Jamaica, we enjoy a participatory democratic governance system. More in this feature.
As we go about our daily lives, there is one inconspicuous regime regulating our moral limits: governance, the process by which the affairs of the country and the people are managed. Debatably, governments are considered a central figure of civilized society, providing the shared needs of our people which cannot be fulfilled by individual efforts. For the most part, Jamaica boasts a stable democratic system of governance, one that is participatory and wherein the people hold ultimate power in electing their representatives in free and fair elections.
We go to the polls every 5 years.
Anybody can run for elections. You can stand for election if you are a Commonwealth citizen and have been living in the country for, I think it is 1 year.
And as it relates to the laws of the land, Jamaica's constitutional rules are supreme. This most important document establishes the character of the government and the basic principles to which the society must conform.
It is the one on which all the other laws of the country are based.
The Constitution basically sets out the arms of government, and they're basically the executive, which is the cabinet and how it functions, the judiciary, that is our courts, and how independent they are, so that they are not fettered by the parliament, and they are totally independent. And finally, the legislature, that is the parliament and how it makes its laws.
The fundamental rights and freedoms of all persons are secured in the Constitution, and each citizen is subject to the rule of law, with every person considered equal before the law.
So that the Constitution puts in place what is called security of tenure of the judges. That is, once a judge is appointed, virtually that person can't be removed except for ill health or misbehavior. So part of the protection of our judiciary is the protection of our rights, because the last persons to speak on our rights are the judges.
Even while considered an independent country, the British monarch is constitutionally Jamaica's head of state, the chief executive represented by the Governor-General.
But in our system, the Queen doesn't act as chief executive, but she acts as a sort of honorary chief executive. She doesn't actually carry out the law, though there are debates as to whether she has hidden powers which are just seldom if ever used.
In reality, the day-to-day chief executive of the country is the Prime Minister, and the person who holds this office will periodically recommend someone to be installed as Governor-General to represent the Crown. But neither the British monarch nor the Governor-General have any real authority in how the country is managed. Under the Constitution, the Governor-General is given authority to act in many matters, including appointing officers of the civil service, starting and stopping parliamentary assemblies, and granting judicial pardon. In most matters, the Governor-General acts only on the advice of the Prime Minister, but occasionally on the advice of both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. A body of people meets to discuss state matters regularly in what is called the legislature or parliament. Parliament consists of two houses, an appointed Senate, which is also called the Upper House, and an elected House of Representatives, also known as the Lower House. This legislative arm of the government has responsibility for establishing laws. 21 nominated persons make up the Senate, 13 appointed by the Governor General on the advice of the Prime Minister, and 8 on the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. Only 4 ministers of government can come from the Senate. When a new Senate first meets, the members generally elect a president and deputy president who cannot be appointed ministers.
A Minister of Finance cannot come in the Jamaican Constitution from the Senate, and the thinking behind it is that the Minister of Finance is perhaps the second most important minister after the Prime Minister, and you want that person to have his or her own mandate that is a direct responsibility to the people.
In contrast, the House of Representatives, or the lower house, earns its own mandate and has an elected body. The number has changed over the years, but the current maximum membership is 63.
That I will not, except with the authority of the Cabinet.
Every parliamentarian who accepts the job to serve takes an oath to defend and uphold the laws of Jamaica and to discharge their duty of serving the people in an impartial and conscientious manner.
He's supposed to look after their welfare, respond to their demands, and generally be the representative of his constituents.
In practice, most pieces of legislation are introduced and debated first by members of this House. It's the same with other matters of national affairs, including budget, taxation, and the granting of funds. All have to be discussed and approved by the Parliament, which ultimately exercises control over the government's finances. The good conduct of members and House rules are kept in check by an elected House Speaker, who is also meant to ensure that every member gets a fair hearing in the chamber. What, how, and when the various matters are debated is the responsibility of the House Leader, a member of the ruling party who is elected by his or her peers to direct the course of business. And these deliberations are agreed on by the Leader of Opposition Business, who is first consulted by the House Leader. Governments over the years have striven for the admirable principles of efficiency, accountability, and transparency, hallmarks of good governance, the thread that weaves us together as a society, safeguarding our fundamental human rights and responsibilities.
Motorists, know your rights as road users. If you're stopped by the police in a road check, the police have the right to ask for your driver's license and vehicle documents. If you don't have the documents on you, you can ask for 5 days to provide them at a convenient police station. If you don't have vehicle insurance, you can be prosecuted and face the court. If you fail to renew the registration license, the police are entitled to seize your vehicle. If the police wish to search your vehicle, they should tell you the reasonable grounds for wanting the search. If you are given a ticket, sign it only if you plan to pay the fine and not contest the charge in court. And please be reminded, children under 18 years must wear a seatbelt, even if they are seated in the back. Know your rights. Knowledge of the traffic road code makes it easier to work with the police as they do their job to make the roads safer for you and everyone else. Jamaicans are known to be loving, kind, and affectionate people, and this was evidently radiating in the streets of Maypen as the Poor Relief Department and volunteers set out to care for the nation's poor. You might also be inspired to lend a helping hand after watching this.
This is a typical Tuesday afternoon for volunteers from the Clarendon Poor Relief Department, combing the streets of the Maypen town, ensuring that homeless persons are given a hot meal. It's just one of the services offered to the poor and destitute, not only in Clarendon, but island-wide. The duty to support the welfare of the nation's poor falls within the Board of Supervision, an agency under the Ministry of Local Government. In each parish, programs are coordinated by the parish councils and the poor relief departments.
We really supervise homeless programs across the island, working with parish councils and also NGOs who deliver services to those who are homeless. We want to ensure that these services are delivered in the acceptable standard, that persons are rehabilitated and are able to contribute to community development.
Working with state and private sector partners, administrators at the Board of Supervision try to provide relief to the homeless, residents of infirmaries and persons living in substandard conditions at personal residences.
We have outdoor persons on the outdoor, persons who we actually assist, and they live in their communities. They need food, they need medical attention and housing and assistance for children. We give an allowance. Once a person is relieved, then automatically they should be assisted by the PASS program.
A country that doesn't care for the old and the less fortunate is not a country which is moving in the right direction. And a council which is not doing the same is not a council which is moving in the right direction.
The last survey of homeless persons conducted in November 2013 captured 77 of them in Clarendon, making it the parish with the third largest homeless population. So poor relief officers have seen the need to beef up their services in the area. A new poor relief office was opened in Rock River in February 2014. That's in addition to 8 other offices scattered across the parish to ensure officers stay close to the communities they serve. Persons who require assistance can visit the nearest poor relief department, get registered, and wait for a home visit to determine the nature of assistance needed. In addition to that, there's a poor relief committee that works to craft additional programs.
We meet monthly, and whatever we discuss, we notice that there's a lot of improvement at the infirmary and other places around the parish regarding the poor.
This is one initiative that resulted from those meetings, the opening of an activities center at the parish's infirmary.
Persons tend to underestimate the importance of elderly persons having things to do and contributing to their whole living, their whole livelihood. So we really appreciate and endorse this move.
We've always had residents who do bits and pieces of activity, but then I think if we have it more coordinated, and there's an activity director here, and I think it's a base for her where she can gather all her active residents. They're in one location.
Some have varying levels of ability. So maybe they can crochet, they can use the sewing machine. There's a man here that can make shoes or mats out of the banana bark. They might just want to come in and read editorial in the paper or just do a little painting. But whoever can be engaged to whatever degree, this is the center that they ought to go to. And this will be improved as time goes by.
Added to the $1.3 million spent to upgrade the physical structure of the infirmary in 2013, the center's opening represents another step in the modernization of services to the less fortunate. And the administrators are careful to not neglect the general health of the infirmary's over 138 residents. To ensure they keep in tip-top shape, a weekly schedule of consultations is rotated with a medical professional.
We've got persons with different conditions, hypertensive, diabetic, cardiac, cosmetics, and all that. So a doctor couldn't have seen like X amount of persons within a day. So based on that, then he has to come like once per week to ensure that over a period of time, all the residents are seen and treated.
And just next door, the parish council has identified a building which it will be developing as a homeless shelter.
Our vision in Clarendon is to have a center where those persons can be able to be examined by a medical practitioner, can be able to have a bath, a change of clothes, and even try to re-socialize with society.
Clarendon is able to do all this with the assistance of subventions from the local government and labour ministries, as well as the kind support of its partners. Similar programs exist in all parishes, so if you need assistance or know someone who does, don't hesitate to contact the Board of Supervision, 85 Halfway Tree Road, Kingston 10, telephone 754-0992-9.
There's a long-distance relay that's still on. Many have taken it this far, each leg as important as the next, each challenge faced with determination. Now it's your turn to take the baton. People living with HIV and AIDS and those who are vulnerable need your commitment. It stands in the way of a better quality of life for all of us and our self-respect as a region. It stands in the way of victory in the fight to stop the spread of HIV. Reject stigma and discrimination. Get us to zero.
Earlier, we saw the generosity given to those who have met with difficult times. And though we might be tempted to say, it not reach me, truth is, it could. One way we could ensure that the future remains positive is to adopt good money management skills early. More on that next.
Ask a child where money comes from, and you'll get all kinds of answers.
Trees, Mama's purse, Daddy's pocket.
Okay, let's try to find the correct response.
Money comes from the mint.
A mint is where people make money to give to other people.
Adults earn money by working for other people or setting up their own businesses. When they get that money, it may be placed in a bank account. Then,
they withdraw money from the ATM.
That money is called
a salary. They use it to pay their bills, they use it to buy food for the family. They use it to make sure that everybody has what they need.
Now, Mom and Dad have to budget their money. You can do that too.
A budget is how you plan to spend money and how you earn it and how the money that you earn and spend.
You create a budget by setting up things to say that, all right, I need this stuff and I don't need that stuff. So I will buy this stuff that I really need, and that's how you create a budget.
Do you guys budget? You do? What do you budget? What type of expenses do you possibly have to budget for? Tell me.
For example, since I get my allowance every week, I budget it. Like I have some for save. I have 3 envelopes, one for save, one for spend, and one for give.
Right.
I put the give in, I put some, I say for example, I have $300. I get $300, so I put $100 in give, $100 in spend, and $100 in save. And that's how I budget my money. So when I want to buy something, I look in my spend box to see if I have enough money. And if it's going to clear me out, I know I'm not going to spend it.
Okay.
And for give, I would give it to churches or the Salvation Army. Mommy gives me money to spend for my spend, like for food and other costs. And I budget how much money I'm going to spend for how much water I need to buy, how much food and what food I'm going to eat, and what exact restaurant.
What about you, Tahi? Do you budget?
Yes, I would budget every day, and every time if I want to go to a movie, I would budget it, what I would want to spend.
Now, what values we teach our children is up to the household they're raised in.
We would like budget everything we do. If like Mom asks me what do I want, I would say I would want nachos, and she would withdraw some money, like she would have it saved and she would give me the money. All right, she would be like, all right, this is your allowance, you use this, you buy what you want, and I buy what I want.
Okay, but you can't have everything. You have to choose what you want.
Yes, and if I have change, I save it.
How does the government get money?
They trade with other countries, and they get money by selling or produce like bauxite and those that they used to make aluminum. And they have tourism, that they use to invite tourists over to Jamaica for they to spend their foreign exchange.
Foreign exchange is money from other countries like Canadian or US dollars or the pound sterling.
So apart from tourism and bauxite and getting foreign exchange, Tahid, which other way does the government get money?
Taxes.
Right. You have any example of any tax?
GCT, environmental taxes, educational taxes.
Where do you pay GCT normally?
In a store.
All right, so you maybe go to like the supermarket or so and you pay the GCT.
Government spends money to improve the country, to fix roads, care for the sick, run schools, and a number of other things.
What's the difference between a piggy bank and an actual bank?
You do not get interest in your piggy bank, you get interest in the bank.
Right.
And interest is something they put onto your money so it can get larger.
The actual bank and the piggy bank. The piggy bank now, you can't actually grow any money from it, but the bank, it adds money on it gradually.
Children, this money thing isn't so hard to understand after all, don't it? Talk to an adult about it and read books that will carefully explain the world of money.
The call to action is for parents to start considering seriously, how can I practice money management in my own life for the sake of my child getting it right? And from that point on, the reinforcement comes, the second thing is to reinforce it with the child. Simply, when you go to the grocery store, one of the ways in which you can start is to take a simple budget with you and show your child that you live within your means.
The top news stories of the week are next. Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. Government tabled a $539 billion budget in Parliament this Thursday, committing $404.7 billion to recurrent expenditure and $134.7 billion to development projects. As part of capital expenses, the amount spent on government-funded projects was reduced from $120 billion last year to $109.2 billion this year, reflecting the commitment to containing expenditure.
We have to live within our means, but we have to at the same time maintain our commitments to protecting the most vulnerable, to continuing to repair our infrastructure and establishing the platform for continued growth.
We'll stay the course, but we're keeping in front of us the most vulnerable and the poor. And I know the pain. I feel it every day. All I'm saying is that they were very good last financial year. They stuck with us, and I'm just asking them for a while longer. We don't know what it is going to be, but you know we do not have much fiscal space.
In terms of sector allocation this year, the Finance Ministry, which is responsible for debt servicing and public sector wages, gets the biggest chunk of the budget, $300.1 billion. Education, national security and health also command significant portions. The Standing Finance Committee of Parliament will now review the estimates of expenditure from April 8 to 10, and the Finance Minister will tell the country how it's to be funded when he opens the budget debate on April 17. In the meantime, Minister Phillips spoke with JIS News Thursday, expressing confidence that Jamaica would pass the fourth quarterly test from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF.
We feel very positive. I feel very positive about the results of the quarter. As usual, we'll await the formal review process. We feel the same way for this quarter as we felt for all the previous quarters. So we're pretty confident.
To pass the fourth IMF test, the government has to meet all quantitative or monetary targets, as well as the structural benchmarks for the January to March period. So far, the IMF board has confirmed that Jamaica passed all 3 tests in June, September, and December 2013. A full review of the January to March 2014 quarter is expected in a few weeks. Thursday also marked the ceremonial opening of the 2014-2015 parliamentary year, kicked off by the Governor-General explaining government's policy agenda for the period. He revealed that government would be relying on the agriculture, mining, ICT, tourism, construction and housing sectors to continue and sustain economic growth in the fiscal year. Crime-fighting measures will continue to maintain the reduction in murder figures seen in the first 3 months of this calendar year.
There's a 12% reduction in murders and a 13% reduction in the overall categories of serious and violent crimes. Police fatal shootings have been reduced by over 50%, reflecting better operational planning and improved community cooperation.
An aggressive legislative agenda will be pushed, including plans to pass the Evidence Amendment, Building and National Disabilities Bills this year. Other key pieces of legislation to be passed include an act to amend the Administrator General's Act, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, and the Integrity Commission Bill. In other news, government has signed a framework agreement with China Harbour Engineering Company, CHEC, for the development of a transshipment hub in the Portland Bight protected area. Transport Works and Housing Minister Dr. Omar Davies says all regulations will be adhered to for the protection of the natural environment.
We treasure the preservation of the environment as much as any other group. And I'm convinced that after all the required studies are carried out, including the environmental impact assessment, that this project will be going ahead.
The proposed transshipment hub, which is part of the Logistics Hub initiative, is expected to create 2,000 jobs during the construction phase and 10,000 jobs when the project is fully implemented. In the meantime, China Harbour was also given the green light to determine the feasibility of damming the Bogwalk Gorge to support a water supply and hydroelectric power plant. CHEC has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing to carry out the study. The dam, if built, would be able to store in excess of 1.9 billion gallons of water. That compares to the 800 million gallon capacity of the Mona Dam, which is the country's largest water facility.
It could significantly adjust our normal annual concern about water, potable water, for the Kingston metropolitan region. And assuming the technical analysis goes well, it will certainly put that problem to bed for long in the foreseeable future.
And finally, the integration of private and state bus operations in the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region took effect on Tuesday, April 1 to provide a seamless service to the public. One of the most noticeable changes is the color coding of sub-franchised private buses to bear the same yellow color as JUTC buses and have identifying stickers on the back and front windshields.
Any passenger in the KMTR who sees a yellow bus can be assured that that bus is licensed, insured, and operates to the standards expected in this reform going forward.
Drivers and conductors of sub-franchised vehicles are expected to wear uniforms prescribed by the Transport Authority, and the private bus operators will be expected to issue tickets, charge the correct fares, and operate according to their routes. And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
This is where we close the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today. Be sure to join us when we return tomorrow with more useful information. Tell us what you thought of the show. Send an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm or hit us up on Twitter @JIS News. And our website, jis.gov.jm, remains a constant portal for the very latest government information. On behalf of the team here at the JIS, I'm Audrey Williams, reminding you to eat well, exercise regularly, get some rest, and make every day a productive one.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.